Breaking news. At 0218 UTC this morning, an automated sky survey operating out of the Atacama Desert flagged a data inconsistency that at first glance looked like a calibration error. Moments later, independent systems on two other continents confirmed it. At 0241 UTC, the anomaly was verified by space-based instruments. By 0306 UTC, emergency channels inside multiple observatories were activated. Today, the impossible just happened. An interstellar object we believed we understood, an object we believed was already leaving, has changed again. And this time, the change cannot be explained by any existing model. This is not a minor update. This is not noise in the data. This alters the trajectory of everything we thought we knew about 3I Atlas. If you want real-time cosmic updates, verified science, and ongoing coverage as this story unfolds, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us. Because what we are about to break down is still developing, and it may not be finished. What follows is a chronological reconstruction of the most unsettling update yet. NASA, ESA, and multiple independent research institutions are now in agreement on one thing. Something about 3I Atlas is no longer behaving like a passive object, and that changes everything. The confirmation came through a network that spans the planet and extends beyond it. NASA's Deep Space Network first registered the deviation through long baseline radar returns. Almost simultaneously, ESA's tracking stations in Spain and Australia logged unexpected timing shifts in signal reflection. At Harvard and Caltech, automated gravitational models failed to converge, producing results that contradicted each other depending on which assumptions were applied. The James Webb Space Telescope was not even pointed at the object when the first alert triggered. Its infrared instruments detected a thermal imbalance where none should exist, a residual signal that did not match any known cometary or asteroidal process. Hubble followed with visible spectrum observations from low Earth orbit, confirming a subtle but unmistakable change in reflectivity. On the ground, the Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile registered a brief, structured fluctuation in millimeter wave emissions, too organized for noise, too precise for random. Meanwhile, the European Space Network's antennas in Argentina and South Africa reported synchronized Doppler anomalies. 3 continents, 2 space telescopes, 1 conclusion. 3I Atlas had updated its behavior. 48 hours before this event, the object was considered stable. Its outbound trajectory suggested a clean hyperbolic escape with a velocity of approximately 26.4 kilometers per second relative to the Sun. Its distance had increased beyond 3.7 astronomical units, placing it well outside the region where solar radiation pressure or planetary gravity could produce dramatic effects. 11 hours later, that assumption collapsed. Telemetry indicated a subtle deceleration, just 0.03 meters per second squared. On its own, that number is insignificant, but there was no corresponding gravitational source. No planetary encounter, no outgassing plume, no detectable mass ejection. 6 hours after that, the deceleration repeated. Then it stabilized. That alone would be strange, but what followed forced a full-scale investigation. Spectral analysis revealed a shift in surface composition, not a chemical change, but a structural one. The object's reflectance curve flattened, as if its outer layer had reorganized itself at the molecular level. Temperature readings dropped from an expected 190 Kelvin to 143 Kelvin in under 90 minutes without a corresponding change in solar exposure. No natural process does that. 3 hours later, radio observatories detected a sequence of low-frequency pulses. They were faint, buried deep in background noise, but unmistakably patterned. Each pulse lasted 1.3 seconds. The interval between them was consistent, first 2 seconds apart, then 3, then 5, then 7.
prime numbers. At first, analysts assumed coincidence, but when the pattern repeated identically across independent instruments, the room went quiet. This was no longer random. It was responding. To understand what we are dealing with, we need to rewind further. When 3I Atlas was first detected, it was classified as the third confirmed interstellar object to pass through our solar system. Its speed, trajectory, and composition suggested an origin beyond the heliopause. Initial models treated it as a comet-like body, icy, irregular, and fragile. But early anomalies were already present. Its acceleration profile did not match outgassing behavior. Its brightness fluctuated without a visible coma. Its shape, inferred through light curve analysis, showed an aspect ratio far more extreme than typical natural bodies. At the time, these discrepancies were noted and then set aside. Now they are central.
During the latest observation window, computational models run at Caltech attempted to fit the new data using every known physical mechanism: solar radiation pressure, thermal recoil, asymmetric mass loss, tidal forces. None produced a stable solution. At Harvard, Dr. Elena Moravec led a parallel effort using Monte Carlo simulations to test exotic but natural explanations: volatile phase transitions, internal void collapse, even hypothetical dark matter interactions. The models failed. Meanwhile, a separate team at ESA ran gravitational perturbation analyses using updated ephemerides. Their conclusion was blunt: the object's motion could not be reproduced without introducing an external control parameter. That parameter has no name in classical physics. This split the scientific community into two camps. The first argues that we are witnessing an unprecedented natural phenomenon, something rare, extreme, but ultimately explainable. Perhaps a form of ultra-low density fractal material, perhaps an exotic interstellar ice undergoing a delayed phase change, perhaps a statistical outlier amplified by observational bias. The second camp is quieter, more cautious. They point out that the object has now demonstrated selective mass loss, controlled deceleration, structural reconfiguration, and patterned emissions, all without chaos. Natural systems dissipate energy violently. This did not. Natural fragmentation produces debris. This did not. Natural processes do not count. Then came the second wave. 17 hours after the prime number pulses were logged, one segment of the object, previously identified as a density irregularity, vanished. Not broke off, not drifted away, vanished. Infrared, visible, radio, and gravitational sensors all reported the same thing. The mass contribution of that region dropped to zero within a single sampling interval. No heat spike, no radiation burst, no shock wave. It simply ceased to be detectable. At the same time, the remaining structure rebalanced itself. Its center of mass shifted by exactly the amount needed to maintain rotational stability. This was no longer an anomaly. It was adjustment. Shortly after, magnetometers aboard Earth-orbiting satellites recorded minor disturbances on the order of nanotesla fluctuations, harmless, but unusual. Ground-based radio systems experienced brief localized interference. Migratory birds in the southern hemisphere deviated slightly from established routes, a change so subtle it would normally go unnoticed. Individually, these events mean nothing. Together, they form a pattern. Inside control rooms, the atmosphere changed. Conversations became clipped. Screens were watched in silence. Internal memos circulated with redacted sections and restricted distribution tags. No public announcement was made. Yet. From leaked summaries, we know that emergency coordination calls were held between NASA and ESA leadership,
We know that certain data sets were temporarily classified. We know that observation schedules were reordered to prioritize continuous tracking of 3I Atlas. Because the object did something else. It aligned. Over a span of 4 hours, its orientation shifted by less than half a degree, but in a direction that placed its long axis toward the inner solar system, toward Earth's orbital plane. The probability of that alignment occurring by chance, given its prior rotation state, is vanishingly small. Again, the models broke. At this point, the question was no longer what 3I Atlas is. It became what it is doing. I remember staring at the data feed when the latest update arrived. The numbers were clean, too clean, the kind of engineers dream of and nature rarely provides. Maybe we are not witnessing a threat. Maybe we are witnessing a test, or a probe, or a remnant of something far older than our species. In the calm after the escalation, there was a pause, a moment where the frantic activity slowed and the weight of the situation settled in. For centuries, humanity has scanned the sky assuming the universe was indifferent, that whatever passed through our neighborhood did so by chance. But what if that assumption was wrong? What if 3I Atlas is not passing through, but checking in? What if intelligence does not announce itself with fire or noise, but with restraint, with efficiency, with patience? We do not know if this object is aware of us. We do know it is not behaving blindly. And now, as of the latest update, it has entered a state of apparent dormancy. No pulses, no structural changes, no further mass loss. Just silence. Which raises the most unsettling question of all. Is it finished, or is it waiting? Subscribe to follow the next update, because this story is not over, and the next change may not give us time to prepare. What happens when 3I Atlas decides to move again?